Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all. I hope you all are healthy and staying safe. My name is Mahima Suryavanshi, and I am an alumni of School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. As we all know, that COVID-19 pandemic has affected major infrastructure projects in India and various parts of the world. Over 2 dozen metro and urban railway projects are currently under construction stage in India. Out of those, some are facing major issues, and some projects have gained pace by combating the challenges induced by the pandemic. So, there are many reasons behind it. So, Urban Transport News is introduced this webinar series on this interactive platform to keep the information live. So, today's topic is new development in railway signalizing system, the future ahead. And to discuss the issue and possible solutions, we have our honorable experts, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, former additional member Signaling Railway Board, Mr. Vidyanagar Gunti, Chief Manager, Siemens Railway Automation Private Limited, and Mr. Navendu Lad, ex-project director, Navi Mumbai Metro. So before we get started, I would like you to inform that if you have any questions during the discussion, please type them into the question box. I'll bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have a question answer round at the end. It would be very helpful if the presenter may present the presentation in PDF form. Now, without a further ado, we will turn over to Mr. Rajiv Sharma, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mahimaji. And I think it's a good morning to all of the delegates who have come on this webinar. And we have got a very distinguished panelists on the stage now. I am Rajiv Sharma. I superannuated about 7 to 8 months back in September 2020 from Railway Board as a registered member. And the topic of today, the new developments in railway signaling system, the future ahead. If you ask me in one sentence, the future ahead is very, very exciting, very, very promising for the signaling in future. I thought that before we move forward, I would like to share a few slides with you so that we have some talking points on the stage with us, so that then we can go and deliberate. So let me try to do some share a few slides from here, from my side. Let us see how it goes. So let me start with this slide. Now, this is if you see from the slide, it's a modern high-speed cab. And you can see so many gadgets in front of the driver, as you see over here. Now, so that means when you talk about modern signaling, it's all about giving modern aids to our drivers. So that is the first thing that I like to mention to you. Because ultimately, modern signaling is what? That means you want to run the trains at higher speeds, at closer headways, and of course, safety has to be paramount. And once you have speeds beyond 160 kmph and all, the line side signals cannot be seen by the driver and acted upon. So we need to have cab signaling. So there are 3-4 points that we need to take into consideration. That means we need to have cab signaling, and we are talking about high speeds. That's why we also need to have automatic train protection, so that in case driver overshoots a signal or he is trying to overspeed, in that case, the ATP systems takes over. And of course, we need to have a mobile communication part. So I think that's with these things, let us slightly move ahead now. Now, I'm taking you slightly away from train side. This is I think, expressway somewhere in USA. And let's just imagine that if trains could be run like road vehicles. Why I say that? That once you enter an expressway, you have very high-speed vehicles moving around. And you would have noticed that when your speeds are high, the distance between the vehicles is more. And when your speeds are low, the distance is closer. So that is something that we call, if you ask me in layman terms, this is the moving block. So modern signaling is all about striving towards moving blocks. How modern a system is, if you ask a railway how modern you are, if you ask them whether you have implemented moving block, if they have said yes, oh, it's a modern railway. And if you have, if you're still to achieve modern moving block signaling and all, I think you need to do some work behind it. So this is one thing I'd like to mention to you. And since I'm touching upon moving block, let also try to explain to you what I really mean by a moving block. So because this is a very interesting concept. So if you just imagine that if in a throughput in a city, if all the cars at a red light would be maintain the same distance as they have at high speed. So you would see the signal is red, first car is standing, then the car behind it has had some distance behind and all. Normally that doesn't happen. So in real life, cars keep a longer distance at high speeds, and when the speeds are low, they come closer, and they even stop when the signal is at red light. So this is an example of a moving block. The flexibility of inter-signal spacing between vehicles, as and when required, depending upon speeds they're talking about. So that is our moving block. Now it's very easy to implement probably on the roadside, but not so easy to implement on the signaling side, basically on the train side. So what we need to do is that now we're talking about moving block. That means all the trains should be in continuous communication with the central computer, and each train has to give its location or its position to central computer. The central computer then decides at what safe distance the rear train can be allowed to come. So if you see over here, normally you have a green signal, yellow and red. In the first line, there are physical blocks. Then if you do some more modern signaling and all, you can create logical blocks. So you can bring trains still closer. And in the last line, if you see that the moving block. So here there is no physical demarcation between two trains except for the braking curve and the adequate safe distance that the moving block has created between the two trains. So essentially, we need to have a computer and a radio system on every train and a central computer controlling this. So now we're moving on to a word, communication-based signaling. So modern signaling is all about communication-based signaling. So that means we need to add the word communication. Now, another example before we go slightly ahead is the brick wall stop principle. Now, the entire signaling, once you're talking about whether it's mainline or metro applications and all, we need to design our signaling in the sense that if the first car was to suddenly stop, so in that case, the rear car, which is coming at high speed, should be able to be stopped at a safe distance, in the rear of the first car. So that means if you see over here, there's a train T1 ahead. If the T1 ahead is moving, then the train T2, which is coming over here, has got a safety envelope or the safety umbrella. It will not be allowed to move beyond that. So that will be the function of our ATP system. So the entire headway or the speeds of the train or the interspacing distance on the moving block will be based upon the brick wall stop principle, which our signaling has to take care of. So let me just talk about a few signaling concepts before we go into a panel discussion. So if you talk about modern signaling systems, what do we have? We would need to have electronic interlockings, SL counters for tag detection, but that is the modern way of knowing which train where is and all. Automatic signaling, yes, we need to have because you want to increase the line capacity of the trains, and automatic train protection has to be available. And then you need to have a centralized control of all the train movements, and also you need to have train management system or CTC. As you see in this, or in this, if you see the photograph on the left hand side, it is the CTC Tundla. So from where we are controlling train operations basically on the Jhansi division or the Agra division over there. And then you need to have optical fiber communication and also the mobile communication. So the objective of all this is what? That we need to running trains safely at higher speeds, reduced headways, and high reliability. For metros, we normally go in for these days communication-based train control, the CBTC, and for the main lines, we'll either go for a European train control system, level 1, level 2, or a country-specific ATPs. For example, a country like Japan or Russia, they have their own ATP systems. Mostly the European countries, they've gone for ETCS. And as far regards India is concerned, we have now decided that we'll have our own ATP system. So if you talk about the metros, they have gone for now, so CBTC is now the de facto standard for metro operations. And it is a moving block signaling. There the headways of say around 2 minutes are now achievable, and the line capacity increased 30 to 40%. And if you have greenfield project, it's quite easy to implement that because you are all along the railway track you have Wi-Fi modems, and Wi-Fi communication is available over there. We have the interlockings; they give the position of the points, etc. And if you want to have an auxiliary detection system, then you can go for accelerometers. The IEEE 1474.1, the CBTC standard, provides for that. So this is a de facto standard for our metro operations today. But there is an issue over here that CBTC is not yet interoperable. So if you have decided on particular vendor for a particular line and you want to extend the same line further, then by choice you will have to go to the vendor who's already doing the CBTC standard over there. It will not be possible at this stage to have two CBTC vendors doing interoperable working over there. So that's a limitation as of now we face in the CBTC environment. And if you talk about Indian Railways, because I come from Indian Railways, so this is what I see the modern signaling telecom for IR in the next 5 to 7 years. Electronic clocking, we have so far provided 1,550. And I think if you want to cover all the stations, we'll have to add at least about 4,000 more. Automatic signaling, as of now, we have sanctioned about 15,000 route kilometers. 3,500 of all the RKMs has been provided, which covers only about 5% of our total route network. So a lot of scope is there in which we have to go in for automatic signaling. ATP, Indian Railways has decided that we'll go in for our own indigenous TCAS, the train collision avoidance system. And we have now sanctioned 37,000 route kilometers on our high density routes and also on the freight intensive routes. CTC, Centralized Traffic Control, has been sanctioned for now about 11,000 route kilometers on high density routes. And as you heard, as must have seen some time back, Indian Railways will now be going in for LTE, the long-term evolution for safety, security, and IoT services. And spectrum of 5 megahertz in 700 megahertz band has been allotted very recently. So this is the modern signaling from the Indian Railway environment, if you see in the next 5 to 7 years. And if you ask me, funds to tune of around 57,000 crores have already been allotted for this, whatever we are seeing on the stage, on the screen as of now. So electronic clocking, automatic signaling, ATP system, CTCs, LT. So this is what we see, the modern signaling for Indian Railways in the near future. Now, before I conclude, just like to share with you 2 more slides. This is a headline which appeared in the month of September 2019 in New York Times. It says that your survey was delayed by 1930 signals. A fix is finally coming. Now we're talking about a country like United States and a city like New York, which is one of the, I would say, one of the most modern cities in the world. But the signaling has been left behind. So that is a story which keeps on repeating at many places. Often what happens is that as the city grows, the transport requirement grows, commuter traffic grows, this re-signaling is taken at the last stage. Once we have additional lines have come into place, then suddenly you find that now you're not able to run trains at the required headway, that will close the frequencies and all. And then the re-signaling thoughts comes up. Now, as you can see over here, they will now be spending about $7 billion US. If it translated into Indian rupees, something like more than 5,000 crores will have to be done. And now this will be a brownfield project. You already have a New York City transit lines available over here. To implement a CBTC over there, it will be a big challenge. And people are saying that it may take about 2 to 3 decades if they want to cover the entire CBTC spectrum of the New York. Same thing is happening on the Indian side also. If you talk about today Mumbai Suburban, where we have trains running on the Western, Central, Harbour lines and all. Now the frequency of the trains is around 3 minutes. You have Mail Express trains also running. The Mumbai Rail Vikas Corporation will now be going for CBTC over there. Again, we would have the same challenge over here. It will be a brownfield project. And most of the interlockings available over there are relay-based interlockings. We don't have much of electronic interlocking over there. So it will be a big challenge for us also on the Indian Railway side. And the MRVC is now doing the CBTC, the design stage is now coming up over here. So friends, I come to the last slide over here. Now this is, if you ask me, is this the future? Could be. Autonomous trains, are they the future? We are now familiar with autonomous cars, your Tesla cars roaming around, or even we've seen Google, Uber taxis, in which the driver is just sitting over there, he's not doing anything. The car is moving on the roads. You got cameras scanning the roads, your LiDAR cameras. Now, what you see over here, he is a driver, but he is a driver operator. He is not sitting in the driving cab. He is sitting in a room far away far away from the trains. And from the room itself, he is driving about 8 to 10 freight cars to start with. Now, idea being that today, with the availability of 4G and 5G systems and all, we are able to have live video available to our drivers or the operator. You can say that once you have live video in front of a train, then probably it's now possible to even manage the trains remotely. So it's a big challenge. Now, this is a good article which appeared in the IRJ July 2020. Something is being tried on the Russian railways over there. This could be a future, especially to do shunting operations to start with, or to have freight trains running around. So this is a future, and this is all being possible with the communication technology, high-speed technology, 5G coming into play, and real-time video. And of course, you will all need to have automated production, ATCs, CTCs, and also. So with this, I'd like to end my few slides which are shown. I think now we can go in for our further discussion. Thank you.
Now I'll invite Mr. Vidyasagar sir to please present your presentation.
All right. So let me know once you can see the screen. The screen is visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, it's really indeed a nice context has been set, so which made my presentation a lot easy. So good morning, everyone. My name is Vidyasagar Gunti. So I'm from Siemens Mobility. So I'll take care of all the railway signaling electronic interlocking projects. So the new developments in the signaling and telecom industry. So what are we going to cover in today's discussion? So the advancement topics, what all the advancements are happening in the current signaling and telecom industry, the modernization roadmaps for signaling, and the future of the rail automation, modernization of the telecommunication roadmap. And we have a concept called a digital station manager. Maybe I'll explain it in detail, and a couple of digitalization portfolios that Siemens Mobility is aiming for, and what are the challenges. Obviously, when the new technologies are going to come, there are some challenges that we need to face. So the challenges part, and then briefly I will summarize it. So moving on, advancement. So why we need this? As already the context has been set, and as the urbanization is increasing, so do the demands on mobility in both the passenger and the freight sectors. A rising number of the goods and people needs to be transported cost effectively, efficiently, with minimal natural resources and harmful emissions. So for this, digitalization is helping us to master these trends and continuously transform the way we travel. So with this digitalization, we are enabling the operators for the better or enhanced passenger experience. How we are doing this? We are making their trains and the infrastructure more intelligent with the digital solutions. We are optimizing the cost sustainably over the entire life cycle. We are enhancing the passenger experience. We are doing a lot of automated ticketing, and we are connecting the rail and road, optimizing the operations, and we are ensuring the highest possible availability. So moving on, the roadmap for the signaling, as already Rajiv sir mentioned, we started with ancient interlockings and electromechanical stuffs like that, and a color light signal. So moving from there, automatic signaling is going to be the trend now. And by replacing quite a few relay interlockings and the panel interlockings, we are going ahead with the electronic interlocking. The track circuiting portion is also completely getting away from the DC track circuits and AFTC. Now the multi-section digital axle counters we are talking, and also the future is going to be a web-ready products are there with IP-based enabled in those products. And from there, if I take one step up, which already as discussed in the previous session, ATP is going to be the key parameter to ensure highest safety. So ETCS level 1, level 2, level 3, these are all the technologies. So unlike CBTC, all the ETCS technologies are interoperable. So there is a specific standards are given, and based on these standards, any of the onboard will be interoperable with the other OEMs bayside portions. So we have level 1, level 2, which is a continuous information that we get from the field to the onboard, vice versa, to ensure a better train movements. And also the latest technology, which is for the first time in the NCRTC, they have started with a hybrid level 3, which is between a level 2 and a level 3 technologies by adding a couple of factors to the architecture of the level 2. One is the moving block concept. So it's a moving block concept which we discussed in the previous session. It's going to be implemented in the hybrid level 3 by adding a one more feature called train integrity aspects. And obviously, we have to take care of the CBTC in the urban transports with a uninterrupted train operation, a driverless with GOA4, and the TMS facilities. Many tenders are right now in the roadmap under the Indian Railways portfolio for various divisions with the features like CTC and all the other the passenger information systems and the PIS stuffs like that. So this is the roadmap, which is really promising for all our members. So the future of rail automation, which is going to be a multimodal transport system, which is going to be connecting the rail and the road in an efficient manner towards the optimization of the complete cost and enhancing the passenger experience. So how we are going to do, I'll just show an example in the few slides later. So Siemens solutions from mobility, what we are offering is a fully automatic to the extent possible to ensure the maximum rail capacity, to ensure the 100% reliability aspects, to take care of the maximum efficiency and demand responsive transport. We have the passenger integration into wider transport, including the rail, road, air. And coming to the modernization of the telecom background, so as we know that ETCS is a backbone, we need to have a level 2 onwards. We should have a communication media. That's all the European solutions so far, which are working, majority 98% of those working with the GSMR. And this evolution is going from GSMR to LTE in the ETCS technologies. As already mentioned, recently DOT already sold the license for the LTE portion. And the new solution, which is future railway mobile communication systems, so-called FRMCS, which is a 5G solution, which is a future worldwide telecommunication system designated by the UIC in close coordination with the different stakeholders from all the rail sector, and which is a successor for a GSMR, which is a key enabler for the rail transport digitalization solution. Moving on, so I'll take a couple of minutes here. So this is our one of the new market portfolio, the Digital Station Master Manager. So this is where we have the stations which needs to be safe, informative, and convenient to the passengers, and can be managed optimally and efficiently by the operators. So by integrating station subsystem into one control interface, we provide operators useful informations and insights with user-friendly systems performance dashboards. So our DSM is an integrated control system for daily operation of station. It can be integrated with various signaling systems. It can be connected to infrastructure, trains, passengers, while including the security systems also, like asset control systems, fire alarm systems, CCTV. And with this DSM, we can also connect. Am I audible? Yeah. So it connects to the SCADA systems also, which control the lighting, escalators, passenger gates, etc. So moving on, this is the example I just want to mention, which is the future of the railroad transport, which is connecting the entry to exit. So once the smartphones are there, if I just click on my exit, the complete chain of events will be taken care of course, with some of the applications provided by the Siemens stuff. And this is our new technology portfolios, cloud-based interlocking and the Railizent. So in the interest of time, I'll just try to keep up 2 points. The first world's platform which securely make the signaling applications functional and operational on a standardized hardware based on a COTS, which is a commercially off-the-shelf products we are going to use in the cloud-based interlocking. And the Railizent, which is makes the intelligent use of rail data to create the added value. Yeah. So what are the challenges? So there are quite a few challenges which is already covered. So if I just need to make a few more from our side. So whenever there is a modernization is going to happen, obviously it increases the costs, and it increases the capex and the opex requirements also. And the capital costs of the signaling and control equipments are likely to be significant. We'll have to have associated maintenance cost. So and also, as I mentioned, the large capital investments, which will be definitely required. But however, the passenger capacity might not be an immediate requirement to take care of this requirement. So in a nutshell, we have to make our urban trail more attractive with the help of our digital twin and BIM technologies. Also, we want to make this collaboration more fruitful, and with a cloud-based station management, which will support the CapEx and OpEx, and it will increase the passenger satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharma Sahab. Both of you, actually, you have touched the most important points and aspects of rail systems, signaling systems, and the future developments. And Sharma Sahab, thank you for explaining the basic concepts as well as the future outlook and what railways would be specifying. So I'd like to just touch very briefly on those aspects, because yes, there are many technologies, many possibilities which come up, and we keep hearing about various developments. But what is important to see is what is being specified in the tenders that we are looking at now. Sharma Sahab, you mentioned LTE being adopted by the railways, which is yes, the new aspect. Whereas if you see the metros today, we are still seeing Tetra being specified as the standard communication system. Whereas I think very soon we will start seeing those LTE systems being specified on metro systems as well. So from what I have learned in the metro systems today, we have seen that Tetra has been the de facto standard for telecommunications, and I'm sure with whatever is coming in the railways and in other systems in the Middle East and in Europe, LTE should be the next platform for communication system. There are a couple of other things which I would like to touch about CBTC systems is the Wi-Fi systems that are being used in CCTV systems. And Vidyasagar, I think you can confirm whether we are still looking at Wi-Fi 4 or Wi-Fi 5, which is being specified, or actually not even being specified, because these decisions are normally made by the signaling system or CBTC vendor. So I have not seen specifications which are actually specifying which Wi-Fi is being used for transmission. However, I think Wi-Fi 6 is now around the corner, and very soon we should be able to see Wi-Fi 6 being specified by the clients as the de facto Wi-Fi communication system for even CBTC systems. So I think we will sooner or later see these things coming up in the specifications for the metro systems, and I would think something of this kind might appear also in the Mumbai suburban sections if they are going to, like Sharma Sahab said, if they are going to go for CBTC system in a brownfield project. So I would say that these are the finer points which we will see in those implementations. The next two and my favorite points, which I am going to touch upon, is basically fire detection systems on trains and CCTV transmission from the trains to the OCC. Now, most of the metros are now specifying transmission of CCTV images live. Of course, depending on the bandwidth available, you can choose the number of cameras and the frame size, the image size, etc. And the same images can be transmitted to the OCC apart from whatever is being recorded on board. And I think here is where we're going to see specific requirements coming from the purchasers or from the authorities, wherein we will see that the authorities are very clearly specifying how much video transmission they want from specific trains, because there are going to be so many trains on the network, and you would have limited bandwidth. In my experience, I have seen both types of systems where the CBTC channels, the spare capacity in the CBTC channels is being used to transmit CCTV images from the trains to the OCC. I've also seen systems where dedicated channels, or you can say dedicated BBRS systems, are specified, where the only job of that device or the system is to transmit CCTV images and other digital information from the train to the OCC. So this another aspect which will be driven both from passenger safety and from security reasons, which I think needs to be looked at. The fire protection systems also on trains, which now customers feel that any fire alarm, any fire event from the train also should be made available for the operators to be able to take rapid action, not even waiting for the train operator to give them any information. So these very specific safety related project aspects are going to appear in the signaling and communication side. And last but not the least, um, when we are talking about connecting the systems to SCADA systems, and it immediately brings to my mind the interfaces that would be required for directly transmitting event and fault related information to the asset management systems, so that the maintenance staff can immediately take action. And these interfaces are yet to be developed. I don't think there are any standard interfaces available. But I think in the future, the metro authorities and the railway authorities will ask for specific ports or software packages being developed, so that the signaling system, the rolling stock systems, and all the other associated communication systems are able to interface.
को समझने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ अभी मैं आपसे।
Beg your pardon?
जी।
Right. So I think Vidya Sagar, perhaps you could appraise us about a little bit about these interfaces.
Sir, I think I'll start maybe a few things which you started with the LTE, TETRA, stuff like that. So at least as far as I am aware, for the mainline perspective, they started using the LTE as a platform, the backbone, and this is something a clear specifications have been developed also. So in one of the classic opportunity was the ETCS hybrid level 3, in which all the latest advanced signaling systems have been interfaced. It is having ETCS level 2, level 3 hybrid. It is having the LTE as a backbone. It is also having the Wi-Fi, which is based on the, I think it was Wi-Fi 5, which is the IW of 802.11 ACR. This is the Wi-Fi 5 is the standard that was used for the grid. So I think TETRA is, at least on the mainline perspective, they already immediately it was a jump from GSMR to LTE. So I don't think they were talking about the TETRA. So I'm not exactly sure on the CBTC side. And the second one, which you mentioned on the, I will touch the third point, so asset management on the SCADA and the various signaling systems. So at least you rightly said there is no standard protocol as such as on date, but everyone is having some kind of a solution. As I mentioned in the slide, if you see, there is one of the solution called Railizent. Railizent is basically this kind of a platform based on a MindSphere platform, which develops all the signaling assets, health, everything, and it will take care of at one place the data. Based on that, the preventive maintenance aspects of the signaling assets will be taken care of. So like this, we have a couple of other solutions also. Omnis is one of the similar kind of a solution. Railizent is also similar one. And the DSM, which gives a complete integration of all the infrastructure, as I mentioned in my slides, it take care of the PAS, and the SCADA systems also, which includes the lighting, air conditioning, CCTVs, everything is all put together. Yeah, the only thing is CBTC might take some time to standardizing all specifications or the interfaces. So hopefully, I think we are not far from that date.
Thank you, Sharma sir. Would you like to add something?
Yeah, I'd like to add something. That I think you have raised a very important points, especially about the fire detection part and also the onboard diagnostics part of the rolling stock.
Yes.
Now, especially for the mainline train operations, once the train is running from, say, train running from Bombay to Delhi or high speed, long distance trains and all, the onboard diagnostics has to be continuously monitored. So that is one of the areas where our LT spectrum that we have got will be used. When we talk about safety and security, so 5 megahertz may not be sufficient for transmitting live video images, and we also don't have intention of doing that. But we'll be surely be having IoT devices on our trains, and especially monitoring these basically the fire detection part or some alarms on the rolling stock side, or a passenger has raised some sort of a safety alarm on that. So those will be carried over there, and also some video images. I will say that not live video, and probably if we want to have a live video of it of some specific part, once a train is passing a particular station. So since all of our stations are now connected with Wi-Fi, so probably we can dump the live video as a train passes and take it to control center to analyze and all. So that is a part that we have raised. And one very important part I'd like to mention is that as the signaling is now growing up with the ATC, ATP, ATO coming up, the interface between the rolling stock and the signaling will now play a very, very important part. So the braking interfaces and all the drivers, even the energy saving part, the driver advisory services and all. So a lot of interaction will be there between the rolling stock of a train as well as the signaling and the communication part of it. And I think once the metros, as of now, once the metros, once they're going for the CBTC, if they want to go for the Tetra or for LT, it's maybe easily possible for them, because LT or Tetra is not being used for basic signaling. It is being used for communication as well as for passenger information systems and all, for PIS, etc. So for them to transfer from from Tetra to LT may not be so much difficult. On the Indian Railway side, so far we have not had much of mobile communication. We have had some GSMR installations across on the north, on the NFR, or also on the Eastern Railway or the ECR and all. But the basic of the entire Indian Railways has so far been untouched of mobile communication. So I think it will be a big jump directly for us to go for a LT kind of communication. But there will be challenges, because when a DFC train, which will be having a GSMR equipped radio, with the ETCS equipment coming up on the mainline Indian Railways, where we are going to provide LT and TK systems. So those challenges of technology interfacing will be coming up. So those things will have to be seen. So a lot of interoperability, and as you mentioned to you, so that we will have to have a lot of devices which will have to talk to each other. So different vendors will have to talk to each other. So a lot of R&D work is also involved over here. Thank you so much.
Correct, sir. Absolutely, and that is why I think what gets written in the specifications need to be very carefully looked at. And I'm sure Indian Railways would have a team of highly trained experts actually looking at those specifications and looking at the current technologies which are actually moving in the direction you have indicated. So thank you. Thank you for your responses. Can we ask the host to take on the further proceedings here? Mahima?
Yes, that was very insightful information shared by all our honorable speakers. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your thoughts. So now we will have a short break, and after that we will have a panel discussion on the topic New Construction Strategy During COVID-19, Challenges and Solutions. Thank you everyone for attending this session.
Okay, thank you so much.